The invasion of Normandy was truly a turning point for the Allied forces in World War II, but it took years of bravery, sacrifice, and the fighting spirit of so many before troops were able to storm the beaches in northern France. General Creighton Abrams is one of those heroes who played a crucial role in the preparation of D-Day, a man revered in American history as one of the strategic, brilliant individuals with moral courage, love of being a soldier, and overall integrity of the highest order. From graduating West Point in 1936 to decades of imparting wisdom on the battlefield throughout World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, General Creighton Abrams made an undeniable impact on the U.S. military. So much so, the American main battle tank, the M1 Abrams, was named in his honor. The distinguished military leader also appearing on the covers of Time magazine throughout his career. Joining me now, one of our own and the son of General Creighton Abrams, ABC News contributor and former commander of the U.S. forces in Korea, General Robert Abrams. Bob, great to see you. Did we do Dad justice with that introduction?
Yeah, that was terrific, Kara. Thank you.
So, your father may not have landed in Normandy on D-Day, but he was a crucial figure during World War II, especially in the years leading up to the invasion. Tell us about Dad, about General Creighton Abrams, and just how he climbed the military ranks far quicker and far younger than people do now.
Well, he came ashore. He was in the 4th Armored Division. And, you talk about sort of putting things in perspective. He was a 29-year-old battalion commander commanding, about 600 U.S. tankers in the 37th Tank. The division formed in Pine Camp, which is now Fort Drum, New York, in the summer of '42. And they basically spent 18 months nonstop training across the United States, first in Tennessee, the Desert Training Center out in the Mojave Desert, Brownwood, Texas, and then back to Massachusetts for winter training before getting on ships, and then arriving in England and training some more until they were committed at about, I think, D plus 36 or 38. And then 4th Armored Division, led the charge. Operation Cobra, the Cherbourg Peninsula, Brittany, Battle of Agincourt, and then, of course, many people are familiar with the 4th Armored Division, my father's unit, attacking north 150 miles over a couple of days to relieve the surrounded and besieged 101st there in Bastogne. And then, they attacked east. One of his proudest moments, I remember him talking about when I was a young kid, was, his unit was the first to discover one of the Nazi concentration camps, and what an incredible impact it had on him and all of his fellow soldiers. And, and then after that, after World War II, he came back and, like everybody else, got demoted from, he got battlefield promotion to colonel and became a lieutenant colonel again. In fact, commanded another battalion, in post-war occupied forces there in Germany, and then, rose through the ranks, and the rest is sort of history.
And, the impact that your father had on the military, it's still felt to this day. Veterans who battled alongside your dad, even those who didn't, talk about his incredible leadership, his moral compass, his modest demeanor, and just the way he was able to humanize fellow soldiers. What was it about your dad, do you believe, that made him quite rare in our military profession?
So, he kind of came across as a gruff old guy, but in fact, tough exterior, really soft interior, and truly loved being a soldier and loved being around soldiers, and had the softest part of his heart was really for soldiers and all of their sacrifices. Amongst the many things my father was known for saying in speeches, probably one that's best known inside the Army is this, and it's very simple. We have to remember that people are not in the Army. People are the Army. And, in his later years when he was the chief, he gave many speeches, and this is, post-Vietnam, standing up the all-volunteer force. He often reminded audiences that you got to love being a soldier. and you got to love soldiering. It's an affair of the heart. And I think that probably is the best description of him as a soldier.
So when it comes to honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice on D-Day, what message do you think your dad would want to send all these years later?
Well, I think, if he was, he passed away many years ago when I was a teenager. And I think he and my mother both would say, I hope that we can rekindle that spirit, the American spirit of that time period, right? Of the people who landed in D-Day, who fought in World War II in both the European theater, the North African theater, and of course in the Pacific. We were certainly not a unified country with ideology, in 1941. But we as Americans put aside our differences and pulled off one of the most incredible feats in history for World War II, to defeat the Axis powers, to defeat the Nazis, to defeat Japan. We did that by putting aside our differences and unifying. And I think that would be one of his messages today.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you lost him at a very young age. I wish he could be alive to this day just to see how decorated your career is. You have truly followed in his footsteps, maintained the same integrity and the same type of leadership that he would have been so proud of. Bob, really appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.